very excited for our next segment. We have radio host at Max FM, DJ TYCO.
How are you? Thank you for having me.
No problem.
Thank you.
I feel like I should do that.
You want to do? We can do fist bump. We can do that. That works.
Okay, cool.
I get that all the time.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
So you've got all your setup here. I am a musician of like other like instruments and stuff. Talk to us about what you've got laid out here on the table.
These are my turntables. I have two Technic 1200s, vinyl. So a lot of people don't use these anymore. They're real vinyls. So
Cool.
I like to be able to scratch and play around, which you can still do with a lot of the controller stuff, but for me, I grew up playing actual real vinyls and having to lug crates of records around to parties and different stuff like that. So I kind of took that with me and just the old school kind of vibe and feel, I guess. You can't really get with all the new stuff, so I kind of keep it back to how I started with all this.
Cool. And talk to us about how you started. What inspired you to start?
I've been around music pretty much my whole life. My grandfather listened to a lot of jazz and blues and stuff, so I think I picked up the music bug from him even before I knew that I had liked it, because he would, every time we'd go over, he would always have records playing, and I was far too young to really understand what they were. But then when I got older, I got into production as well. So when I go and I take parts from these old records and sample them and then put them into new, I'll make a hip hop beat out of it.
Right.
So if my grandfather was still around, I'm sure he'd be very surprised, because he never liked the hip hop stuff. So, but when I take his old blues and jazz records and then turn it into something new, I hope he would like that. So I think it started with my grandfather, and then when he passed, he left me all of his records. So I kind of have a big crate of everything going on at home there.
Is there a record that you probably played way too much that?
Oh man, nothing comes to mind off the top. I'm kind of everywhere when it comes to listening to music at home. I mean, I'll listen to everything almost except country music. Sorry if there's any country fans out here. That's just not my thing.
What if you mixed it up with like hip hop, like? We could
try.
And then maybe you might like a little bit of country.
You never know. We'll work on that one.
What's your favorite kind of mix? So like you take different stuff from in the past to something new now. What is something that you've actually been working on lately?
Man, I have an album coming out with my friend T. Grams, a local hip hop artist from Toronto.
Cool.
So a lot of the same production that we were just talking about, going through old records and finding stuff, is a lot of that, and those techniques that I learned from kind of the older generation is on that project. So a lot of that stuff. And then if I'm DJing, it kind of depends on where I'm at, and where, the number one rule for DJing that I was taught was always read your crowd. So if I'm in a country bar, I'm not going to be playing, maybe some of the hip hop stuff that I'd personally be listening to, because they're just not going to appreciate it. So it's kind of judging and learning your crowd is the biggest thing so far for me.
Where can people hear you live?
I have a radio show on Maximum FM. It is internet radio, so you guys can go and download the app from the Google Store, or www.maximumfm.ca. Every Tuesday and Sunday at 7 p.m. I show the Vintage Vault.
Nice.
And it's an hour long.
So do you chat with other artists?
I try and keep it pretty open as to who. I mean, if you're putting on for our city, and being positive is the first and foremost thing I look for, is positivity. Because nowadays there's a lot of negative stuff going on, and I try and leave that out and let other people who do that stuff for them. But I've had DJs, clothing companies, other artists, other radio show personalities on there, so I try and keep it rather open.
Nice. All right, why don't you share something with us?
Okay, so we're gonna just do a very, very basic beat counting little tutorial, I guess we'll call it.
Okay, cool.
So if most music nowadays is in 4/4 timing, so it may sound very simple, but 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's just repeated.
Right.
But different songs have different BPMs, beats per minute. So, I mean, this one is starting at 84, so we'll just kind of, so you can get the hang of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So then, 2, 3, and then you can just go back and forth. So now with Serato, it's nice because you have different cue points and you can set where you want to bring stuff in. Because before with the vinyl, you can forget. And if you forget, you may look kind of silly up here doing some stuff, and then.
So when you talk about when you have the vinyl, you actually you can't obviously do what the programs do. You had to go back to what you started with. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So back in the before, like, see how I don't know if you guys can see on my records, but they're called cue points, more or less, just as a visual stimulant. So you can, if you're doing a quick trick, you need something quick, so you kind of know where you're aiming for.
Right.
So back in, I used to have little stickies all over, so they'd be important spots on the record, just in case you're in the mix and you're kind of going real quick. You don't have time to, all the time and bring it all the way back. So, different things, and then practice is a big thing as well, and then knowing the music. If you don't know the music that you're playing, you may get into some trouble.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, show us like what DJ TYCO does, and then I want to wicca.
You want to do? You want to try the wickying
first, or?
Well, it's up to you. What do you want to do?
No, let's show them what you can do, and then we'll show them what I'm going to try to do. Oh, this is crazy. It's like choreography.
So I mean, it's just an instrumental, so a lot of the things kind of go back and forth, but yeah. So if you want to try wiki,
talk to us about the instrumental actually that you chose. Is that an artist that you found online, or?
No, this is some old '90s hip hop. It's Dipset.
Okay.
It may not be for your audience, I'm not sure, but some old school '90s hip hop for you. This is kind of the stuff that I grew up on, and a lot of the stuff that I started listening to was these old samples. So this sample itself is from the 70s funk record, which if you heard the original, you maybe wouldn't understand how it got to this point, because up here is their pitch faders. So if I go, it speeds the record up and slows it down. So when the first record originally was taken from this, it was a lot slower. So this is actually, when you're hearing it now, it's crazy pitched up and sped up a lot. So when you heard the original, you may not even really catch what it is.
Right.
So it's a lot of homework and stuff like that. But
so I'm curious, like, how do you find something that you want to work with? Is it something like it instantly inspires you to use it? Or
for the production, it comes down to I genuinely just love old soul records and that kind of music, because I feel a lot of the music now is just copied in a way. A lot of it's just like, oh, this guy sold X amount of records, so if I do the exact same thing, hopefully I'll do what he did. But back in the day, if you did that, it was, people would just kind of laugh at you, and you just really copied that guy.
Right.
So Cool. But then with DJing, it's I always try and, I'm not necessarily a young DJ anymore. I'm almost 30, so keeping up a lot with what the kids are listening to is a big thing, especially if you're doing a club show, because if I'm in that scenario and I'm just playing what I'd be personally listening to, the younger generation may be like, oh, this old man over here collecting dust, what's he doing?
That's
so,
true.
But
Awesome.
again, it all comes. So now, okay. So,
you got about.
So we'll just let you jump on.
Hey, wait. Are you going to quickly, or do I just do it?
Okay, so we'll just do hand on it.
Okay.
Hand on it.
Yep.
So that's your cue point, and then this is your crossfader. So now, when you have it over here, you're listening to this side.
Okay.
And then when you want to do a wiki, bring it in so people can hear it.
Oh, this?
And then just forward, backwards. Baby scratch.
Okay, so bring it in, you said?
Yep. There it is.
Did I do it?
Yeah.
Wait.
So this side's
going
playing.
over there.
And then you bring it in.
Here.
And then backward, forward. There you go. There you go.
Well, thank you so much, DJ TYCO.
More than welcome. I had a great time. This is awesome. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Make sure you guys follow him at 905 DJ TYCO, and they can follow you and find out where you're playing live as well.
Yeah, I like to keep my Instagram and stuff like that pretty well upkept, if you will, as to shows and different venues and stuff we're at. So, but yeah, for sure, follow along. Send me some music, guys, if you are an aspiring artist from the city, at 905djtyco@gmail.com, and maybe we get you down on my show and play some of your music.
Awesome.
Never know.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.